desert, smoke, oil burning. And there are people who believe that this is the end. And I may be one of them. I'm coming around to it. But here's this is Revelation 9, and it's the fifth angel talking here. Then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. I believe that'd be a scud. All right, now it gets worse. It gets weirder. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of the pit. There's the oil fires, and as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them were given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. I don't think I have to explain that. Everybody's looking for God on their side these days. And to them was given that they should not kill them, but they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment, I marked this all up so I can't really read it. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. Boom. And it goes on. The book of Revelation is one of the few things in any writing that I utterly defer to. It's one of the great pieces of pure writing, pure work. You don't have to be religious to appreciate it. This is really a firestorm. But it becomes something else when you take it quite seriously. And, well, are we prepared for the end of the world? Is this, for Armageddon? I am. I've been waiting for it for a long time. For the apocalypse. Are you okay? Are you people, is that acceptable? The end? There are 7 angels at least. That was just one of them. Torment, scorpions. And the others bring rivers of blood, horsemen of death. It's a pretty good scenario for what's happening now. And I'm at peace with it. But maybe we should start and have a little talk here as to, am I way off base here in believing that the only explanation for this war may be in the book of Revelation? Or is there a more logical, political, and contemporary solution or understanding of this? Who would like to...
Do you think the war is scripture based?
Well, I wouldn't have said that, 6 months ago, but it's hard to argue with terms when you see Armageddon here, and there's a whole school of thought that says that this is that. And Jesus writes we have the bear, the eagle, the beast, and the desert, the smoke. And there will be the end of the world at some point. This may be, I don't know. I guess it's my inability to grasp why we've committed our entire national might and credibility, really. It's going to get nasty. Well, so far, I think we've had, I don't know how many casualties, but they've all been friendly fire. Yeah. The Iraqis have a 1 million-man army burrowed down there like fire ants. And we really haven't faced them yet. And we've killed, I guess, is that true? All friendly fire? Well, I don't think there are any, yeah. I'm not, there's something wrong with it, except that if we view it as the apocalypse. I don't believe that necessarily. I'm kind of reaching for an answer. Well, how do you feel about it? all will and right. It'd be like Nixon being right, finally. I don't know, what if 4 horsemen appear in the desert and ride across toward our troops? I know a lot of people who believe the scripture when they're fighting. That's a lot of soldiers. Well, I would hope so. It would seem that, if we are number one, the most powerful nation on the earth in history, we really shouldn't be at the mercy of any two-bit fanatic who wants to annex, the 19th province. That was sort of a debt, a financial argument. There was no real. Kuwait was created, I think, in 1945 by a British diplomat who just drew a line over there and took all the oil fields and the port. And the Kuwait, the emir and his people, the royal family, are among the worst swine in the world. And one of the problems they have now is that in Cairo and Alexandria, the Kuwaiti royal family is whooping it up in discos, and it's one of the, it's kind of embarrassing for them. They're trying to keep these people from making this display of berserk dumb wealth. And it was an argument. I think Saddam or somebody in Iraq figured that the Kuwaitis were drilling at angle drilling like they do in Texas and Oklahoma, where you buy a worthless plot right next to an oil field and then drill sideways. I don't know. Kuwait did not pay their fair share of the war with Iran. It was a simple squabble, like a collection agency or something. Well, Bush was out there, and it happened right next door to me. Bush and Margaret Thatcher were vacationing, they said, in Woody Creek. That was bad enough. Believe me, when George Bush and Maggie Thatcher come to your neighborhood, it really does turn things upside down. Roadblocks, people with black hoods on, sniper teams, Secret Service everywhere. You can't get from point A to point B. The Woody Creek Tavern became sort of headquarters, a command post for the Secret Service. When everybody was armed there. All of a sudden, it was kind of a peaceful vacation. Our ambassador to the Court of St. James lives down the road from me, along with Don Henley and Don Johnson. I've had a long history of, the Secret Service and I have learned to get along. The last time I had a run-in with them was 2 or 3 years ago when I was in Milwaukee, and as a Catholic, Marquette University, went to a Jesuit Catholic gentleman who were into guilt, and they wanted to talk about guilt and politics, and I was trying to think how to attack that mix, and it came to me that, well, all right, it was during the Iran-Contra hearings. I said, all right, well, here we go. We get guilt in politics. George Bush is the guiltiest man in politics, period. And he's so guilty, in fact, in this Iran-Contra business, that if you people believe in guilt, as I do, I'm just a hillbilly, but I understand you send a Jesuit up here, we'll talk about guilt. And we go for a vote as to whether Bush was guilty, and guilty enough to, I said he was so guilty that if he were here in that room, that if he came up on the stage, that if they believed in their Jesuit sense of inevitable guilt and retribution, that they would be forced to come up on the stage and stomp him to death. If they believed in their principles. And there was kind of a ripple in the room, and I called for a vote, and it was 2-1 that they would if George Bush were there. Yeah, well, if the Secret Service is here now, let me tell you that threatening the life of the Vice President is one 5-year felony, and inciting others to do so is another 5-year felony. And the next day's paper in Milwaukee had big headlines saying that I was urging mobs to stomp the president, the Vice President to death. All that fun. Yeah. Meanwhile, I was applying for credentials to go cover the Contra hearing. And I was about to go to Washington, and I hadn't got the credentials yet. I've had credentials for all manner of things over the years. So I really wouldn't pay much. I was already going to take off for Washington. I thought, well, I just get the credentials when I get there. Don't worry about it. And they were on my answering machine. There were constant messages from the Secret Service. And I just thought it had to do with my credentials. You know, they were calling me to say they're ready. You know, I had applied. Yeah, doctor, we have your credentials. They'll be there. So I didn't pay much attention to it until they got pretty urgent. I finally called the guy in Denver, the Secret Service office. And I said, hurry, let's be quick with this. I'm calling you back. Thank you very much. But I'm about to leave for Washington to cover the hearings. And what's on your mind? And the guy said, well, Mr. Thompson, if you go to Washington without talking to me first, the rest of your life is going to be a series of terrible misunderstandings. And it turned out that the federal attorney in Milwaukee had prepared indictments, hadn't filed them 10 years, and I had to wait. The guy came out and spoke to me. We had a nice talk, and I had to explain that, well, I had to ask him, well, you know, he understood after a while. It was funny. But I had to ask him, well, you know, I do this, this is my business, you know, not threatening the life of the president, but this kind of commentary, you know, and Bush is guilty. I insisted on that. He didn't care. He was about to retire. So I said, well, and I could say that the president should be tarred and feathered. That's okay. But if I say he should be hung, that's wrong. A threat on a different law that protects the president, the vice president. But tarred and feather is okay. I'm flogged into a coma. I don't know. Well, they're very specific about it. We parted good friends, but I haven't been covering any campaigns recently. I dread covering the next one, but I've talked too much here. Let's have a little, it's a dreary, well, I'll finish that story about Woody Creek. Here, George and Maggie came in, and we have a sort of a live and let live philosophy out there. It frequently results in problems. But it's kind of interesting that they can come and go, and the Secret Service, I took all my rifles and machine guns and things like that off the rack so they could see as they come in the door. They didn't even come to the house. They were peaceful enough that, you know, I was there, so what. But boy, after about 2 days, all of a sudden, this swine invaded Kuwait, which sounded to me like something that the Huckle-Laps would do in the Philippines. I wasn't prepared for this armada of armored cars and red eruption of that was like one of Hitler's caravans on the way to President or whatever his home. They came speeding out of Woody Creek on the way to the airport. Silver planes came in, they were all kind of squawking. Some fool blew up some dynamite on a hill somewhere near town. They had helicopters, teams attacked him. And we suddenly went to war. And ever since then, it's been kind of strange. And apparently he knew. They're right a week ahead of time now. I don't know why we'd gone to Woody Creek to announce that he was going to go to war against this Saddam. And one little note about Saddam, it's interesting. He was in high school. He was at the bottom of his class. He was considered an imbecile, too dumb to walk around. But he was also president of his class. I'm not sure what to make of him. But I did hear on the first night after he bombed him, did anybody hear the first statement, the full text of his first statement after he'd been bombed all night? Well, I think Peter Arnett got it out. And it was a very concise rant of about 15 minutes. I wondered what the hell this guy is about and why this was happening. I couldn't quite figure out who we were dealing with, but boy, he cleared that up real fast. Here's a guy who had been clearly, he's in a rage, a religious fanatic in a rage. He'd been somewhere in a bunker, bombed all night, all of his, his country torn apart. And they were, people were we were asking each other in general, will he surrender? Will he go belly up? And here came a goddamn Wolverine on the air. Talking about, first he was going to cut the head off Bush, the devil, and he was going to get King Fahd of Saudi Arabia and rip him to shreds with a flay, rip his skin off. Then all the Jews would go, everything, Israel would be out. There was no doubt in his mind that this outrageous assault on his country was, as if something from the devil, exactly, the devil. And no doubt in his mind that he not only was he going to fight it to the death, but he had to. And anybody who believed in God and right would fight with him. And I think he still believes that. But boy, it was a scary thing. I thought we were dealing with a flake. And vicious politician, not at all. Maybe he's ambitious, but this is like the Ayatollah. And I don't know, there are very easier ways to get by in this world than to jump into Muslim wars. And I'm troubled by it. And who asked if we had no choice? Well, what does it matter? If we have no choice, let's get bogged down in a 100-year bayonet war in the desert. The Persian Gulf is already gone, right? It's a smoking ruin, an oil slick. Wait till he starts putting prisoners up on spikes, burning them, sending heads back in packages to the hometown. Yeah, we're dealing with a person who has not the slightest intention of quitting this and cannot see, I don't know, it'd be the equivalent of my people wondering if I was going to abandon all, stop drinking, give up everything, turn into a person like Jerry Falwell, or who's that? The guy down in Louisiana, Swigert. Yeah. Well, there is no press coverage of the war, really, except out of Baghdad. People ask me why I'm not going to cover the war. Well, I have no ambition to spend the next 6 months or 6 years in a tent with no beer. You can't speak. You speak to a woman, you either get kicked out of the country or put in a Saudi jail. To drink anything at all, the soldiers can't even drink. What a nightmare that has to be. So sit there in the desert and have to drink Coca-Cola constantly and worry about nerve gas.
What's the difference in being in Baghdad and being in Saigon?
Well, we have to take Baghdad separately from Saudi Arabia because the press corps, which is huge, of course, American world press is in Saudi Arabia, and they're limited to briefings and their rules. And if you step out of line, we're all guests over there of the Saudis. So we saw what happened to Bob Simon from CBS. He wandered off the straight and narrow and disappeared in the desert. And they say that the Iraqis have them, the CBS crew, but I believe that we have them. I think that the Green Bird, the SEALs took them away. No, you can't, all you can do, it's very frustrating to do that. I ran into it. I came from Saigon in terms of war coverage, and I saw it in Grenada the first, when they decided they had their all new rules for coverage. And they decided that press coverage, loose lips sink ships, that sort of thing. And there is no coverage. You have to wait, and the generals will brief you. And there is an argument, I guess, that you can't conduct a war if everybody knows what missile has just come in. But out of Baghdad, here's Peter Arnett over there. CNN has turned journalism upside down with something called a 4-line phone. Then the first night of the war, when Bernie Shaw and Holloman and Arnett were over there, Arnett is a hardball. He's really a serious war correspondent. He wouldn't leave. So what? Kill me. I'm here to cover it. But what CNN had done was fly in a thing called a 4-line phone. I called down to Atlanta right away saying, what the hell do you have? What kind of equipment? I want one of those. And Ed Turner, not Ted, but Ed, is a news president. First he said he denied it, they had anything special. He said, I sent them 4,000 quarters. And nobody else could broadcast from Baghdad, but what they did was send in what they called a 4-line phone that you can walk around with. I have a cellular phone here somewhere. I was just driving down the road using it a minute ago. It's amazing. You can call anywhere. But what they had over there was a line where you got your own satellite. You are your own satellite, uplink. And everybody else had to wait for AT&T and lines and all that. But it's just a matter of equipment, about $500,000. And they're little units, it costs about $50,000 a piece. You can walk around and broadcast straight up in the air. And right back to Atlanta. It bounces. Technology. So that's Peter Blastone in I think Jerusalem was congratulating Arnett and those people being in Baghdad for having the only free coverage. Everybody else was censored. It really is amazing. The pictures of Arnett hunched over his goddamn little machine with the sensor hidden behind it. They need that machine. Their own machinery is destroyed. So as long as Peter is there with that 4-line phone, they're going to keep it working until somebody else figures out how to work it. All right, I'm talking too much.
Peter Arnett, because he's been criticized as being a spokesman for the Iraqis. What's your opinion of that? Of course he knows he's not telling the truth, but should he be there? Should he be spreading
I can't see him. Oh, okay. Yeah. But what were you asking? Does he know? Well, Peter won a Pulitzer Prize in Vietnam in, I think, 67 or 68. He's pure as they get as a journalist, and you don't come any harder and any straighter than Peter. He's not a boozer. He has no political opinions, but he is a story freak. He's a junkie. And if I had to have anybody over there to, well, you need something. Well, maybe we don't need anything. Would you prefer to have no? You have to imagine, here he's sitting there, the only reporter allowed to stay there. Yeah, but it's really a fine wire to walk. Once that little bugger that sits behind him when he's talking learns how to operate the 4-line phone, Peter becomes expendable. So, yeah, it's really an amazing feat that he's doing. And I don't think, when you get into telling the truth, he's not lying about, he would not do that. To say that the bombs fell here, he's not a mouthpiece for Saddam, but he is subject to things like, he was walking down the street and they got a beckoning call, come in here and have a little talk, with the man here. He had, anytime he could get his notebook, he was blocked down in front of his own camera, and for a 2 or 3 hour interview. Yeah, he's being used, but Christ, I don't think the reporters in Riyadh and around the people who go and hang out at press tents and listen to generals talk to them are being any less used. Peter, it's a weird situation. I don't recall anything like it in journalism or war, where he's our ear in this place. And yeah, sure, he's not sitting in there denouncing the Iraqis. It's amazing that they let him. They are, yeah, sure, they're using him. They're getting. I think Saddam is a serious maniac in terms of a very totally focused believer, a true believer. And he believes that once his story is out and people understand him, then of course they'll agree. Of course, the devil should be slain. He needs. We blew up his uplinks, his AT&T lines. He has no communications in or out there. And he's, CNN has given him one. And boy, it's valuable. I'm surprised that he's as articulate and as calm as he appears to be. Are you? I was. Which day? I mean, you're talking about Arnett. Well, when Bernie Shaw and John Holloman left, I'm not sure how I'd feel. I would, Baghdad's a better place to be than covering the war from Saudi Arabia. At least you get a beer. Yeah, I would prefer to be where Arnett is than where these other, what's the guy's name? The BBC, Kent? Arthur Kent? You see Arthur Kent? I mean, BBC with the bombs and the rockets. Yeah, it's very frustrating to cover a war when you have to do it secondhand. At least Arnett is there. And who knows? He'll be these rockets and bombs strafing. If we've killed our own Marines, if all the American casualties so far have been us killing our own people by accident, which they say is part of war. Well, shit, nobody asked for the war in the first place. We invaded there. We bombed those people. If that's the case, I'm not sure at any moment Arnett could, go to black, as they say. It's all over. You're kind of a weird shout like, "Oh God, stand back, run!" Boom. And there's no reason to believe that he will be hit by one of those errant Tomahawk missiles. 42,000 bombing raid in 15 days. It seems like the war's been going on forever. It's only about 2 weeks. Ye gods. Wait till it starts. But, okay.
I was wondering if you had any input into what Bill Murray or Neil Young did in that movie, and also what you thought of either one of their
You can hear the question, and you can bounce it so people can hear it.
All right. I had a question about where the buffalo roams, particularly whether what you thought about Neil Young and Bill Murray's performances in that movie.
Did anybody hear this? What did you think?
The question was where the buffalo roams, what he thought of Neil Young's performance and Bill Murray's in the movie.
Well, that sort of asking me what I think about Dewsbury. But, Bill's an old friend, and it's a miracle he still is. Well, they hired me. They bought a short story from me, and then turned it into a movie. And then they hired me to cure it, to rewrite it. Which I went down there and sort of lived with Bill for a few months while we rewrote the beginning and the end, put it on film. I have a whole different film at home. It turned out that they were just humoring us. And it was a stupid, it was a cartoon. And yeah, I had a role which was to, I wander around the lot in a 450, a red Mercedes, and a pickaxe, and slamming it through floors, and I was humored, more or less. And so was Murray. They did what they wanted. It was a bad script, a silly film, and I never have seen the finished version.
What about Neil Young?
I never talked to Neil. I like Neil Young. I really, he's one of us. But I didn't like I'm not sure who even got Neil Young to do that. That's that music in Buffalo. Yeah, I'll defend Neil Young to the death, but or his right to do anything he wants, but not in my backyard, one of those things. And it was an embarrassing thing. Christ, imagine how it feels to wander around the comic strip, a movie, and now NBC is planning some goddamn insane series in the fall about what happens when I become the mayor of Aspen. Holy shit. Yeah, I think so. They're casting it. I'm planning a massive lawsuit against them. But, it's very tricky, with the, not just the laws, but our whole concept of laws is changing the Constitution. And libel is weird because once you're a public figure, it's hard to argue. Like George Bush can't argue when I say that I saw him on Pennsylvania Avenue the other night, stopping and sucking the breath out of a dying cat. You try writing a book about the vice president. I was so convinced that Bush was beatable. He was the worst candidate, the weakest candidate I'd ever seen until I saw Dukakis. But I was confident enough that he was guilty in the Iran Contra situation. I still am. Yeah, he's so guilty that if he put it on one shoulder, he couldn't walk. He'd fall sideways. But he got away with that. And he's gotten away with a lot of things. But it didn't occur to me that the Democrats would go into the tank and put up a candidate who's, what the first thing his wife does is call a press conference and announce that she's a raving drunk, a speed freak, and barely able to control herself. Yeah, here's a woman who for 26 years had been married to the governor of Massachusetts, then successful governor program state, 3 beautiful children, married to a man, and in every way successful, running for president. And, you know, as they say, the world was her oyster, that sort of thing. Wow, instantly. Then she got into wood alcohol. And, yeah, you couldn't do any more to go belly up in public than the Democrats did. And, well, their ticket for 92 now, among the party pros, these swine, these goddamn, back alley hacks who run the Democratic Party, and actually they can win everything except the presidency. They have all the state offices, they have Congress, the state chairman, local kind of county caucus people, their job is secure. And they've abandoned the White House.
What do you think of Doug Wilder?
Well, as a governor or as a candidate? I think you have to say.
As a candidate.
Well, compared to what? That's the, I mean, serious now. We're looking at an opposition party in a democracy. You do need, there has to be some competition. And the Democrats have given up. So Wilder as a decoy, like Buchanan was, well, the party pros now, the betting is it'll be Lloyd Benson from Texas, that wretched, degenerate crook, and Jesse Jackson, who I like Jesse. He's one of the few people around in the Democratic Party who understands that politics really is the art of participating and controlling your environment. Doug Wilder, I like him. But he's not going to be president. He's not going to win. It's on Wilder?
Yes.
Well, let's see. We'll give you on Wilder 800 to 1. No. I'd give you Jesse Jackson as president, pretty close to that. I think within the Democratic Party is bereft somehow of, and they've gotten to the point where they don't care anymore because they have all their jobs are secure, and they've forgotten that in our form of government, that it's three heads. And if you give up the White House, you also give up the Supreme Court, as we have for almost 16 years now. And a generation in politics is 20 years. And when you give up the Supreme Court and the White House is, you can tie things up with Congress, you can lock it, as a Republicans did with Kennedy. But you cannot, there are three branches of government, and the Supreme Court has slipped totally into one camp, whatever you think of it. And I'm not sure that the Democrats really care. I think the Democrats are in the way. The whole party should be destroyed, like the Whigs. They should quit. Because, they're in the way in that they're not competing. It's fixed. You know, it's like Don King and Bob Arum in the heavyweight boxing. I would like to have an honest response, competition. And I can't see that the Democrats. Who would you like to see run for president? I think he'd be the best president we would have, but I think he'd lose. I think Jesse Jackson would lose.
Who has the best odds in your opinion?
Probably goddamn Lloyd Benson. For being the candidate, not for being. I think Bush will be reelected unless the Democrats take themselves seriously as equals if they don't want to compete. Well, Gary Hart, of course, was Gary Hart was 16 points ahead of George Bush on the day that he tripped over his dick and lost. Yeah, Gary was he's a friend of mine. I like Gary, and he was a president. He's the closest thing we had to a president in waiting. That also happened, by the way, right down the road, next door, at Don Henley's house. Yeah, I was talking to Bill Dixon, Gary's campaign manager, on the night that occurred, and he had one of these call waiting things. We were talking about what Gary was going to do, who was going to be Attorney General, Hal had, my lawyer, everything was taken care of, 16 points ahead, and Dixon said, wait a minute, I have another call, I'll be right back. About 5 minutes later, he came back, saying, oh, Jesus Christ, oh, help. The Miami Herald is, and this terrible story they're going to run tomorrow, everything's blown up. Gary's done for. Yeah, the story before anybody, but it was so weird, nobody would confirm it. I called the Miami Herald, I called CNN, nobody knew about it. But yeah, the whole thing blew up. And Gary was the last honest challenger I think we had. Excuse me? Cuomo is, what we call saying, a reluctant candidate. I like Cuomo. He's a good governor of New York. Well, he has the same kind of problems that Jolene Ferraro had with a family of people with dubious, checkered records, Here, the Democrats with they ran a woman whose husband at the time was running a gigantic porno operation, film out of a star pornograph, something. And her son was busted for selling speed, coke, and I don't know. I don't think I'd accept the nomination for vice president or they make you targeting yourself, and that's what she did. And Gary has a death wish, but Cuomo has the same kind of problem with his family. But I'm not sure. We've had crooks. Look at Nixon. He was as criminal a person as we've ever seen in this country, much less an elected president. And really, Richard Nixon is the obverse of the American dream, the other side of the coin. Like perfectly guilty. And he was president. Richard Nixon was elected in every office in the country except governor of California. Congressman, senator, president. Everything he ran for, and he almost won to California. That's when he lost. He flipped out. That's when he said, "I quit, you bastards." That's it. Telling the press, "You won't have Richard Nixon to kick around anymore." Well, he lied then too. He came back. I miss Nixon. Yeah. The war against drugs. Let's see, when's the war against drugs done? It's destroyed the Fourth Amendment, it's destroyed almost all of our really constitutional rights, Bill of Rights. The price of cocaine is now down to, $1,200 a kilo or something. Not quite. The war against drugs has been a total failure. It's like the security programs that are coming from, will come out of this war against the infidel over here. Airport security, these remember the metal detector, those things. They were put in a few years ago because of D.B. Cooper, hijackers, people who were done hustle bombs on a domestic flight. And it's a temporary measure, and they've never come out. It's like a tax, no such thing as a temporary tax will be removed. And it's easier in this country to create emergencies. The government is easier, always. The government's always easier if people don't argue with you, if they're afraid and quiet and satisfied. And here we have an economy that's about to bottom out, go right through the bottom. A war that's cost, the budget figure today, 1.4 trillion. It was submitted, this is insane. It'd be like me finding a bag of jewels and cash on the railroad tracks someday and running amok. Well, I do that. I have that kind of sense of money anyway, but I'm not in charge of the country. But we really are a nation spiraling in different directions, going sideways, wars, total debt. And it's better, it's a fascistic concept to create situations that keep people from arguing with you too much. And we pretty well suspended all of our constitutional rights in terms of our ability to argue, to fight back. And boy, I tell you, I went through it. I got my feet right in the fire on that one. You can fight them, and you can beat them.
The question was how much of Fear and Loathing is true and how much is a product of your imagination?
I believe the statute of limitations is expired on most of it. Well, I'm going to tell you that about 90% of it's true, but I want you to appreciate that in this climate, in this country, to admit that 90% of that's true, and to say kind of wistfully that, boy, I'd like to do that again, it was fun, but it's a very dangerous thing to say. It's an attitude that does not fit in with we're in a lockstep. We wave the flag, defend our country. I wore this tonight. I thought you people would like it. Push. Well, they worked in Vietnam. Well, in Vietnam, you could go wherever you wanted to. If you got killed, well, that was part of the problem. But I don't know. It seems like we're heading for, with the war on drugs, the war on Saddam. Well, it used to be the war on poverty, right? That's what it's over. Yeah, it used to be. The argument used to be maybe we could have both guns and butter. Well, now we've lost the butter, and if we stay over there much longer past Ramadan, the Islamic holy day, holy, what, 2 weeks, a month? Ye gods, can you imagine millions of pilgrims? These are zealots, these are religious people who believe there is no God but Allah. And if you don't get to Mecca once a year, your chances of going to heaven disintegrate or get queasy. So they go there. And now we're gonna have millions of pilgrims coming from Iran, from all over the whole Middle East. Shiite Muslims, Sunni Muslims, going to Mecca, which is in Saudi Arabia, coming across the desert in these caravans. God, I don't know. One way to distract a people, a nation that is troubled internally, has always been dictators to get in external wars and engage in huge building projects at home. But I think maybe we might have gone a little bit too far this time. That's what March 17th, and my advisor here, I can't reveal her name, but March 17th, yeah. So the war has to be over by March 17th, or we're going to end up bombing caravans of pilgrims who don't give a flying fuck whoever they're, except we're just in the way. I'm not comfortable with the idea of, I have constant trouble with the IRS. I only pay, every 3 years I have trouble. And I don't cheat, I don't argue, I don't pay every 3 years. I file, and I pay a lot. But I'm not comfortable with the idea that I'm paying to have, for more Tomahawk missiles and more Mavericks, to drop bombs on civilians. And that makes me feel, I'm very comfortable with it, that we're just saturation bombing people who don't seem, I'm not disturbed by the Iraqis, the people, the scenes we had pictures out of Baghdad before the bombing started. They seem like interesting people to me. They have one of the hugest animal markets in the world Goes back something like 4,000 years. He's biting furry bears, parrots with 3 legs. They seem okay. They're not. I'd much rather live in Baghdad than Saudi Arabia. At least you can have a little fun. But I'm not comfortable, even if I didn't like them. I would be comfortable with bombing the Saudis back to in the Stone Age. I don't like the idea of that we, the strongest and freest and the most advanced free-thinking nation in the history of the world, carrying the torch for human development and not power and fascism and blood. We have been for that. Thomas Jefferson did not speak for saturation bombing of anybody, I don't think. And I'm embarrassed that that's all we have now to speak to the world and to history. With just in B-52s and bombing these people really in the Stone Age. The idea is that we're destroying, now that we've called him the devil, and how can we leave there if he's not destroyed, if the rock is not destroyed? I don't like it. I feel that there's something wrong with it. We've gotten sidetracked into being it's like Hitler in 1937 when they went into Spain to test their weapons. And in fact, there's not just a line of theory, but in fact, that the weapons we were using over there are not going to come back because it's too expensive to rotate the weapons. The troops can be rotated. That can be more financially. The tanks are obsolete now because they were designed to fight the Russians in the Cold War. And we have no use for these things. So you wonder who's going to get them. Who's going to end up with those 7 million Bradley fighting vehicles, or those things explode on impact with any kind of a magnesium rocket. I hate to be in those. I don't know. Clearly I'm uncomfortable with being representing a nation, pay my taxes for missiles that blew up 7 Marines by accident, that I don't really know or care that Arnett's milk factory in Baghdad was or was not a milk factory. If I were Saddam, I would start sending over false chemical warheads. I'd put them 1 out of 10. I'd put talcum powder and ammonia in 9 out of 10. Send them weird stuff that exploded on the ground, and it seems like a kind of madness that once you get into it, you can't win. Yeah, maybe heads on spikes. We have in Kuwait. We have a martyrs brigade. 10,000 martyrs, our people, alleged Kuwaitis, waiting to go in there and root people out. It seems like it, going back to the days of Genghis Khan, when he went into cities, he would give them 24 hours to give in. If he didn't, he would go in and pick up all the governor, family of anybody, powerful merchants, politicians, and put them in the main streets, lie them down, and put rugs over them, cover them with rugs. And then while the rest of the citizens watched, he would send his cavalry charging down the main street over the rugs. And, that seems sort of civilized compared to bombing people repeatedly. I don't know, maybe it's just me. How do many people feel about saturation bombing? That's the new thinking, yeah. And I think Powell's very much for it. Quayle, Quayle, and he's been on the news recently. Yeah, he's been up front for a change. I think, yeah, he'll be dumped probably. There's no reason to keep Quayle. Ambitions. It's not so much with Baker about ambition as inevitability. But, yeah, you look at Baker and Pell in 92. That'd be hard to beat. I think Bush is, I'm not sure how he can hang on with the economy and the war. But, so yeah, Baker, Colin Pell, Quayle will go back to playing golf in Indianapolis. He was hopeful, I guess. It's hard to argue with the person who blew the gender gap apart. Yeah, Bush, the women's vote, there was an unshakable gender gap of 10 or 12 points before Quayle was put on the ticket in New Orleans. And everybody was horrified. I thought, good, this will sink them forever. This is perfect. This shows what a party of dingbats and yuppies and freaks that they are. And lo and behold, Quayle actually pulled votes. And it was embarrassing to a lot of people. You never heard anything about the gender gap again. Anybody here vote for Quayle? Nobody voted, yeah. Yeah, it's like Agnew. Oh no, I never knew him.
If you had to die, where would you want to go?
To die?
Yeah.
After I die or before? In order to die, or?
Where would you want to die? What would you be doing?
I hadn't thought about it too much, but I wouldn't be in a hospital for certain. Yeah, we could go into this in some length. Well, shucks. I suppose not knowing about it would be a huge explosion of some sort, something like that. Trying to adjust a bomb, sort of, and get the fuse right here. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Yeah. Tap this, don't worry. I told you, I can read the Underneath cookbook. I know what I'm doing. But, well, I like to die having some fun. Yeah, there's a shortage of fun these days. That's what I feel it even now. Yeah, fun's getting real scarce. You can see it in people's faces. It's withered up, and it's not so much, not the death of, well, it's not so much a lack of fun as the fear that it's dead. Where were you when the fun stopped? That's what I'm thinking. There's your hand. I can't, where are you? Okay, yes. Well, I didn't do that, but, boy. No, I didn't want to drive, that really is setting yourself up for a serious bust. But, yeah, Kesey taught me a lot about fun a long time ago. Yeah, I had about as much fun with Ken Kesey as those people down La Honda, and still, Ken's one of the great people, a good friend, and really one of us, in a very limited, in a way that very few people are. And yeah, I had as much fun as I've ever had in my life with Ken Kesey. But that was before LSD was legal. Imagine that.
Is LSD use coming back, and when was the last time you tripped?
Well, tripped is kind of a atavistic word. But I like LSD. As a matter of fact, I used some last night, I think. But Yeah, LSD, use of LSD is coming back, but not the same way as that blowout. You know, like, let's get berserk. You know, it's get to the point where we, I don't recognize you, and you know, have to chain myself to a pipe in the basement. I've always advocated the social use of LSD as opposed to Tim Leary, who is, you know, the guru, sort of the control setting. You know, he wants to be, somebody has to direct the trip. I'm all for just eating LSD and going out in the basketball game. Whatever. I don't advocate that. Well, no, you never, well, I can only speak for myself, but no character is really strictly based on one person. Kemp is more, in Kemp, that was a lot of myself, yeah, at the time. I was very stylish to be, well, that was the end of the sort of silent generation, I think, you know, the Eisenhower thing. So what do I know? If Shelby, Catherine here is right, then in a few years we're going to have a total eruption of libertine madness, and well, you can see the '60s coming. You kind of feel the '60s coming. Even as a child, like hot, you know, cool wind, and it did happen, and Kemp was sort of on the cusp of that, and the '50s and even the early '60s. The '60s did not happen until it was in the middle of the '60s. It really did happen. It started when Kennedy beat Nixon.
What's your favorite firearm to shoot? Did you bring it with you tonight?
Firearm?
Yeah, what's your favorite firearm to shoot off?
Well, boy, my favorite was my ancient German Schmeiser machine gun. I was forced to cut it into 4 parts and pieces and send it into the police. Well, I believe I'm becoming more and more into a Buddhist way of thinking. I believe in karma, and I see myself essentially as a roadman for the boys upstairs. The Great Hall. But I believe that we're going to answer for the way we live, and in the sense of well, I have to get into reincarnation, which I haven't quite come to terms with yet. But the trouble with karma, which I have a very firm belief in, you have to take it, in the Buddhist sense, you have to take it into the next life. That's why when you get into arguments with Vietnamese or Orientals, as we did in Vietnam, these people don't have it. People say, well, they have no respect for human life. Oh, it's bullshit. They just figure that if they get killed, as I do in a way, I welcome the rest. You know, a little rest before I have to come back. But some people are going to come back as evil rats. And imagine what Richard Nixon, what kind of karma he is going to. I don't think St. Peter is a silly thing. The U.S. Marines guarding the goddamn golden streets, that's silly. But yeah, I believe that the lords of karma are up there, and you will come back based on what you deserve. and the constant, not a total death. I'm not sure just how that works with souls and things, but yeah, I believe that, I was probably here once before in some other form, and I will be again. I'm pretty comfortable that I'm not going to be sent back as a three-legged tongue rat, tongue beetle in Calcutta. But we're wearing Pat Buchanan's campaign down here. But I threatened Buchanan with me having to come back as a rat in Calcutta, being chased through the streets. And yeah, I think some people are going to really, not so much answer, but I don't know. Would you be happy coming back as you were now, or what would you like to come back as? As a human being, or I'd like to come back as a dolphin, I think. On occasion, yeah. I'm supposed to go to Moscow and explain what's happening in the Soviet Union for Rolling Stone pretty soon. That's an interesting place, I'll tell you that. Here. Yeah, you can say that. Wenner's become immensely wealthy. I warned him all along that that's going to happen. And I also warned him that he's going to have to answer the wheel, when the great wheel turns. And he ain't going to come back as the editor of Rolling Stone. He'll probably come back as Patrick has done pretty well. He's not going to come back as a presidential advisor through 4 or 5 terms of crooked, incompetent warmongers and bunglers. Yeah, Patrick, ever since 1964, he's written speeches for Agnew, for Nixon. He's taught Reagan how to lie, and Bush even how to lie to the press. Patrick is good. I like him. He's not as much fun to drink beer with as anybody in Washington. But Patrick would have me put underneath the president somewhere. I'm comfortable. Patrick is, he'll get his, but he goes to see the Lords of Karma. But I like Buchanan. In these terms, he should run for president, as he is, I think. He's always wanted to be president. Yeah, he's a feisty bugger. One of the smartest people I've run into in politics. You have to have some fun.
How about John Snooden?
That's a horrible monster, boy. Really, that's a troll. Yeah, that's sort of a 1.5 dimensional person with immense power. My person. Well, that's what I've been getting at for a while here. Advice. Well, what would you like to do? I mean, you tell me what you'd like to do, and I'll maybe put some odds on it for you.
He asked, what would you do if you went to a school, I don't know, one exists, where you could get kicked out for breaking a window?
Well, it all depends on your point of view. I recall in high school, I was expelled from high school for rape or something like that. I gotta say that now, it's funny, but it wasn't then. Well, while I was on suspension or whatever, I had a few friends and I robbed a beer depot, got a case of beer, and went out in front of the school superintendent's house. And I remember standing there in the colonial house with these kind of white windows and small, frames, 8 by 12, whatever. And we threw every beer bottle full through the windows into the house, one after another, for about 15 minutes it seemed, and then fled. Yeah, each one was like a hand grenade out of the night. Whole case. And I don't know how that fits with your personal situation. Well, the 49ers, but well, I suffered through the bad years of the 49ers. I had a season ticket in the years when they were whipped like dogs by everybody in the league. And Kezar Stadium. So yeah, it's a karmic thing. I deserved, I felt, the victory years. But yeah, I really still can't imagine how the Giants beat them, but yeah. How effective?
The question is, does Dr. Thompson think marijuana will be legal again, and how effective a lobby is NORML?
Well, we were very effective for a while there. I was the director of NORML when we effectively decriminalized. Since then, there's been what you call a rollback in the law. And oh yeah, it's you can go to prison for 4 or 5 years now in a lot of states for possession of 3 or 4 ounces. It depends. It's really the discretion of the law. And we've lost badly on the marijuana. It should be legal. I tried, yeah. I did it I had a good growing situation, but boy, you have to pay a lot of attention. And if cows don't get it, the goddamn neighbor's kids will. Yeah, if you're to grow marijuana these days, and you're selling it for $3,000 a pound, it's a full-time job. Well, it is the largest cash crop in about 5 states: Kentucky, Missouri, California. Third here? Well, they have to finance a war. Why not finance it off marijuana tax? Yeah, I don't know. Anybody here know people who've been ruined and savaged by, reefer madness or smoking weed? I think it could be a very productive part of our world, and it certainly is now. And the reason it costs $3,000 a pound, and it offends me brutally. I used to buy weed for, $50, $30 a lid, a little bit of ounce. And it's become a designer drug, Cocaine is cheaper than marijuana on the streets. Is that true? I'm not sure what the situation is here. Yeah, I came across the other day. I got my hands on it for the first time, and I don't know, a few years, what they used to call a donkey dick. A huge, beautiful bud. Stem, the kind of stuff they used to have at high times. You compare. That's pretty hard to come by these days. Yeah, to get really gently, crazily stoned on the really good weed is a pleasure. Stick with your herbal teas, nuts and berries, whatever the hell they put in these little packs, raisins. I hate to have to face a life right now where everything that's fun is either going to kill you or get you put in jail.
Would you explain your current legal situation?
No, that's not it, right? Hell is the question. I just said the same thing. I just want to make sure we get it around.
How did you manage to get out of your recent legal data?
pizza like dogs. Anyway, how did I manage to get up?
How did he manage to get out of his recent legal situation?
This is a very a key question, not only in my life, but perhaps in yours. Now, well, nobody is immune from the kind of police power that comes with ignoring the Fourth Amendment. And there has to be some constraint on the police to keep them from, well, the current buzz phrase in law enforcement is you want to bring people within the system. And that's what they were trying to do with me. They offered me, I could plead guilty to one, well, I was charged with first like 37 felonies. Well, I haven't had that much fun in a long time. But yeah, Gail Palmer-Slater, yes. I remember her in my house that night saying, I can't go home like this, I'm too sloshed. My husband's never seen me like this. He doesn't know about my background. And I said, well, babe, he's about to, you know. Yeah, she had married a year ago the team doctor of the Detroit Red Wings, an eye doctor, an ophthalmologist, who was outraged, of course, that he flogged his wife and twisted her nipples and put a gun to her head. Well, none of that's true, but I did get tired of her in my house, yeah. And I tried to call a cab. If the cab had come in time, it wouldn't have happened. But to beat that was really a setup and a kind of a bad joke, which even Gail came around to understanding, and she blew their case out of the water. There's an old saying in the law that not even God can win a preliminary hearing. That's when they look at the charges and see if there's any possible weight to them. And then they bind you over for trial. And yeah, usually, most lawyers give up. But I remember that Lee Trevino had said once that not even God can hit a one iron. That's after he'd been hit by lightning. But he hadn't, God had missed him with the lightning. He had his one iron up in the air. It's a bad joke, but I can hit a one iron. And I thought maybe we win this preliminary hearing. So we got Gail in there out of some wild notion. I had my lawyer go there and ask for a date up in Michigan. And she's a weird woman, a lascivious woman. She sent me 2 porno pics of herself and a weird note and a Hallmark card, as it turned out. The front page said, sex is a dirty business. And you open it up and it said, but somebody has to do it. And all kind of lewd suggestions about what we were going to do when she came out to Aspen with her husband for the eye doctors convention. And well, yeah, she came to the preliminary hearing. Oh, well, to answer your question very in a nut, I decided that I couldn't afford to bargain with this woman. I couldn't afford to plead anything. They wanted me within the system, which means on probation. The current mindset of law enforcement is that we'd all be better off if everybody's on probation. And I couldn't survive probation. It'd be silly. So I decided to take it on full bore. And I reached back into my karmic past to the time when I was on the board of directors of NORML when we got weed decriminalized and came up with Jerry Goldstein, the recognized authority on search and seizure in the country now. And with Hal Haddon, who was Gary Hart's campaign manager for many years, many campaigns. serious criminal. They aren't called criminal lawyers for nothing. Well, these are, you have warriors, and you can beat them. You have to take a certain risk. Once they'd offered me a chance to plead. I'm on probation, supervised probation, pissing in bottles. Anytime they want to come in the house and rip it apart, they could. Most people do that. Most people have to. It's very hard to fight, to take them on in a war like that. Which is why now, I don't want to say I, but we have formed a Fourth Amendment Foundation. And I had the luck and the karma and the friends. People, there was an assumption that just because I was rich and powerful, I could win this. It wasn't that at all. I still have paid the bill. And they're not prepared these days. Most people plead guilty just to get out of it. Out of it. You have to take them on and tell them, "Fuck you, you're guilty." And boy, we did that. I had those bastards investigated, raked over the coals, put on special prosecutors. I have a $22 million suit pending, civil suit for invading my privacy. It took a full-bore effort. We had to go to war, and very few people can afford to do that and don't have the either the money or the access to the kind of lawyers who would do that. But NORML Connections, Keith Stroop, who was then the executive director of NORML, is now the executive director of a thing called the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, a very high-powered group. And they offered me their services, which is like having, I'm not sure what to compare it to, but having your own army, your own Green Berets or Republican Guard, whatever. And because of that, I won, yeah. I had people who understood that it wasn't so much whether, the question was not whether I was guilty of twisting people's nipples or having 0.09 of a gram of cocaine in my house or 39 hits of acid. I told them, for fuck's sake, if I'd known the acid was here, if I possessed it, I'd eaten it. It wouldn't be here. But you can't. I learned that you can't fight them by your rules. You have to take their rules and beat them to death with them, which is what we did. And by crossing the NACDL, this network of lawyers, I realized we had these lawyers in place, and they've agreed now to take on Fourth Amendment cases. I think it's very important to beat these people, to beat them in courts, because the Supreme Court is not going to. I've become a real expert on criminal law. You get a real education when you're looking at 16 years in prison if you don't figure it out. And we're going to take on some cases. Anybody here has been busted recently for search and seizure or by illegal search and seizure, leaned on, stomped on. People, that happens to people every day, all over the country who can't afford to shake their fist. And sort of, I was dealing with stupid white trash, back alley, fucking dumb cops. Scum. And it takes a certain mindset to take that attitude in public and say, picture your death. I will dance on your heads, you pigs. Today's pig is tomorrow's bacon. You're kind of out on a limb. But with lawyers, these people from all over the country, network of the NACDL criminal lawyers have agreed to take these cases for nothing. If we have to find the right cases. I think it's important to win a few, just to show them that they can't just walk over people. Not everybody belongs within the system. There's no reason why we should be afraid of local law enforcement people just because they wear badges. And having a badge, there's no license to stomp over anybody who happens to want to smoke a marijuana joint. I'm not in favor of violent crime. I'm not in favor any kind of crimes that hurt other people. But I'll be goddamned if I'm going to sit around in a situation where anytime some thug in an assistant DA's office decides that I'm a good ticket to little publicity in the war on drugs. Well, let's get Thompson. He's always guilty. Well, yeah. But it doesn't give them the right to kick down come in and search my house for 11 hours, those bastards. They pay for it. And there are ways to beat them, and we've set up this network. You mentioned McGovern, George McGovern's on the board. We have some of the top lawyers in the country on the board in this Fourth Amendment thing, and I want to take on some serious cases, my innocence or guilt. Yeah, of course they found scrapings of cocaine, acid, marijuana, dynamite, whatever. I use those things. But that doesn't give them the right to come in any time they want to and search my house and bust me for it. I've lived in the same house for 24 years. Of course I have. Every lunatic in the world, Oscar Acosta, or Willie, he's been around there leaving bombs and guns. That's not a crime. And it's not a crime to to be an outlaw is different from being a criminal, I think. And to be busted for a lifestyle, for an attitude, and to fear it, have to fear it all the time, really does change your life. It is like being on probation. So I thought we'd bash their teeth out and on because I had the warriors, I had generals. And very few people do, and very few people can afford it. But with this Fourth Amendment Foundation, we've made it possible to beat them in the state courts, district courts. The Colorado Supreme Court, for instance, is a much more liberal court, incredibly, than the U.S. Supreme Court. And there is ammunition. There are ways to keep at least a balance of terror. They don't like to get humiliated, flogged, and have to answer to stand up and be cross-examined for 3 weeks and have I had the DA's budget cut. That son of a bitch came in and asked for a raise after they did this. And politics. Politics is the art of controlling your environment. And I realized when this happened that I had paid attention to politics. All right, well, I'm going to cut it off here, but let me just close with an idea that liberty, freedom is really, all you have is really what you're willing to fight for. And anybody who goes out here tonight and murders a child, that should go to prison. But if we're getting to a situation where between the war on drugs and the war on this dingbat over in Persia, in the Gulf, generally it's not much of a percentage in getting into war where the first casualty is the whole Persian Gulf. It's an oil slick forever. That's no excuse to make us walk on one leg through airports and constantly apologize for everything we feel like is our right to do. I have a right to live the way I want to, I think. And if I hurt other people, that's a different question. But just because people disagree with me, because cops don't think it's fashionable, is no reason that I should be in prison. And they shouldn't. They should be in prison. That's my attitude. And it's very important to fight them. And it's very important to know that you can fight them. Because I think after 20 years of Reagan, Bush, and Nixon's shadow is still there. After all this time, it's getting hard to believe that you can fight and you can beat City Hall, and it's fun. So let me leave you with that. The night is not so dark.
I have one last question. In this month's Esquire, the back page, was that talking about an article you're going to write for Esquire every month, or is that about an upcoming book called Year of the Wolf?
Oh God, they gave me the last page. For some reason I agreed to have an office in New York, in Esquire, I know, in the back page. But I don't know, that was sort of an accident. It was a letter to my agent. I know in the process of negotiating a huge contract, how the hell it turned up on the back page of Esquire, I don't know. I must have missed the deadline. Who gave me this? All right. Here, man. That's a military. It had a